Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is going on, Steeler fans? Welcome back. Oh my gosh. We look like the Steelers in the second half.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin!
Just gonna remember it again.
El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más?
Hey, that's the only points we're getting, so enjoy them.
What is up, Steeler fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis as we recap a Steelers loss, 26-7. They get their doors blown off at home by the Buffalo Bills in Week 13. Dave, what's going on?
Well, I figured if the Bills were just going to keep running back the same play over and over again, we might as well run our intro music over and over again just to get you all with the mood for it. Yeah. So, this is pretty ridiculous. I can't believe, looking at the game as a whole, that it was actually a situation where the Steelers, you felt like they could win the game mainly because they were winning at halftime. It was kind of like the Steelers' hopes to do anything else with this season. It was kind of fool's gold that first half of the season, which kind of like if the Steelers could still manage to win the AFC North, which they are in first place in, that would be kind of fool's gold anyway, because it's not really ultimately going to matter.
Bryan Davis, what's up?
Whoa. I am going to channel my inner Jackie Childs Jr. if you're a Seinfeld fan. And that was unbelievable, unwatchable, and uninspired. Oh, it was grotesque. And I'm going to say this right now. The Steelers, when I say they looked uninspired, they looked like they just gave up on the season. And I can honestly say that. And I'm not going to give you any positivity, I promise.
My brain immediately went to Seinfeld, Jackie Childs references and different episodes where he was in there. Who told you to put the bomb on? I didn't tell you to put the bomb on. Who told you to put the bomb on? Anyways, if you're not a Seinfeld fan, my apologies. But let's go to knee-jerk reactions. You guys just kind of chimed in a little bit. I want to give you the floor again. Dave, what's your knee-jerk reaction after the win? Or loss, sorry. That was not
if I went that kind of knee-jerk reaction, we got to rewind it back quite some time.
Yeah.
This team is... in a year where there is no clear-cut AFC dominant team, that it is wide open for almost anybody to just grab a hold of and take it, the Steelers are 2 tiers below those teams that could.
Yeah. Bryan, knee-jerk reaction.
Knee-jerk reaction is simple. The team came out. They got, on defense, they got 2 turnovers. They barely did anything with it. I know they got their lone touchdown on the second one, I believe, but it was just, my gosh, the time of possession wasn't there. But when you go into somebody's house and you pee all over their couch and then they ask you to clean it up, that's irreprehensible. And that's basically what the Steelers did. They let Josh Allen drop trowel and poop all over the place. And they ended up cleaning it up at the end. And that's exactly what they did. I tell you what, I could not believe my eyes. When you go in to the locker room at halftime with a lead, what are they doing? What are they doing in there? Are they binging Stranger Things season 5? Are they, because their minds are elsewhere. Well, the Bills are actually plotting, hey, we got to get back into this game. Horrible.
My knee-jerk reaction is this. This game was my tipping point. And so everyone that knows, I am the eternal optimist when it comes to the Steelers. I pick them every week. I always can find a way mentally to talk myself into them winning the football game. And I still could probably do that. It's just going to take a little bit more mental gymnastics. But you know what this feels like? This feels like, for me personally, I'm only speaking about myself, no one else, that all over the years, probably since 2021, maybe even going back all the way to 2017, there's stuff that goes on and it's like it's almost like you pick up some junk and you just put it into a room and you close the door. You know the junk's there but it's out of sight, out of mind. You still know it's collecting. And so every single season, every single week, everything that happens, you just take the junk, put it in that room, close the door, put it in the room, close the door. You still know it's there, and now it's collecting, and it's getting bigger. It's taking up more and more space. Well, for me, I opened up the door to put some junk in there, and there's no more room. And it all comes piling out. And this is when you just see everything. And you're staring at all this junk that comes piling out of the room, and you're thinking, I've known this has been here for so long, and yet I've just ignored it because, hey, out of sight, out of mind, right? But this was the tipping point for me. I think this shows Mike Tomlin's warts as a head coach. I think it shows the warts of his staff. I think it shows the ineptitude of the organization to make good, timely, sometimes harsh decisions with your roster. I think it shows the lack of depth on this team, and that is an organizational issue. I think it shows a lack of leadership from the players all the way through the roster. This was my tipping point. And people can disagree, and they can say, Jeff, that was my tipping point was 10 years ago. Good for you. It's today for me. People can say, Jeff, you're wrong. You're entitled to your opinion. But for me, this was my tipping point. I feel like it is blatant that you see that a change is necessary. I think that the fans, I'm going to talk about them on my Let's Ride podcast tomorrow on Monday morning. They did everything they could to make it known their displeasure. What they did on Sunday was way better than putting up a freaking billboard saying, hey, sell the team or something stupid like that. I just think for me, and I just want to say this in knee-jerk reaction, this is my tipping point. I'm done. It's mediocre. It's the same old, same old. It's rinse and repeat. It's time for something new. And I'm ready for drastic change. I'm ready for changes on the roster. And if that includes someone like TJ Watt, so be it. Coaching staff. I don't care if you got it. This is just me saying my piece, Dave. You're scratching your chin. That means you want to say something.
Oh, no. You finish.
I'm done.
Okay. No. And you know, and you should be done. Not with what you're saying, but with the heart of what you were saying.
Yes.
And that is, and you were spot on, Jeff. And here's what's crazy. We're saying this on the 30th of November and not the 15th of January. Normally, this is how we feel after another playoff blowout loss. And you know what's sad? That still might be coming. It's because the Steelers and Ravens are tied for the North. I mean, I thought the Steelers had the next tiebreaker on them, but apparently they don't. But right now, it really doesn't matter. I don't. That's not even. I feel like what Coach Thomas said the post-game press conference about. I'm not looking at that right now. Right now, I'm looking at the awful performance that just we had on the field and trying to break that down. And you were 100% right there. But looking specifically at this game, I think what got thrown in our faces as fans, and I thought of this as you were saying all this, is how fragile this team is. This team is so fragile. They had the 7-3 lead at halftime, not really doing much other than take advantage of takeaways, scoring on one of them, not even getting close enough to score on the other one. And they come out, and as soon as that first play happens where they give up a defensive touchdown, they were all but done. And then they get the ball back, and it's Mason Rudolph. And shockingly, he's throw it deep. It's right along the sidelines, and you overthrow a 6'7" dude, and you get it, and they intercept it. They were done. They knew that they were far too fragile to actually be able to win the game at that point. They're fragile. And unfortunately, when Josh Allen ran in his touchdown, which anytime he rushes for a touchdown this year, they've won the game, where they had him stopped up and they just said, oh, well, let's just come and we're just going to have more heart than them and push them into the end zone. The way I described it in the knee-jerk reaction article, which I was writing because Big Bro's at the stadium, or was at the stadium, was I said the only way to describe them right now is a word that is usually used to talk about a cat or a willow, because that's the type of performance they were giving. They are too fragile, and they just folded, and that's who they are.
Brian, I want to give you an opportunity before we move on.
You don't want to hear what I have to say. The Steelers sat in the cuck chair and watched somebody have their way with their wives. That is exactly what happened. And I'm not trying to make you laugh.
That's such a bad answer.
They
Brian.
they really did. It was so embarrassing. Dave just explained it. When they let Josh Allen do that, that's exactly what I'm thinking at that time. And I'm going to tell you, that 4th down, 4th and 2, Tony Romo's like, all right, no, this is too far away to run it. Do something that's not predictable. The way they were lining up, they knew they were going to run it on 4th and 2. They didn't even expect a pass. Preparation was not there. Motivation was not there. I mean, you know what? I always balk when somebody says, fire Tomlin. Say it. I have no problem with you saying it. My opinion might be different. It might be the same. But putting up a billboard, Jeff, you're right. By the way, the guy who put up the billboard is a clown, and he just did it for self-promotion. But the fans, you're absolutely right, Jeff. When you are there and you are voicing your displeasure and they're raining those chants down, Tomlin heard it. He was addressed. He goes, I share their frustration.
And
if you share their frustration, do something. Sorry, Dave.
One reporter had the cojones to ask him about it, especially after having his question not answered this past week, which I agree with him not answering it. A schematic question, though, but was commended for having such a good question. One reporter asked him about it. And CC, kudos.
Yeah. Chris Carter of the Post-Gazette. So
nice. I didn't realize that was him.
That was him for sure. All right. And this game felt a lot like the playoff loss to the Ravens last year where they just couldn't stop the run. But we're going to get to some super chats as we always do before we get started. Let's go to SteelDog88. Gives us $5. It said, Yinzers, the Tomlin Rodgers desperation attempt has failed. Time for ownership to wake up and move on and pay a full coaching staff and Chris Shula. I don't know who Chris Shula is per se, other than the last name, but
fantastic. He's fantastic defense with the Rams.
But guess what? They're not going to pay top dollar for a coach because they won't pay top dollar for coordinators. They'll pay someone only if he's proved himself. And that's my problem. And as much as I want the Steelers to say, burn it all down and start it all over again, the one thing that will remain that we're not going to get rid of is AR2 until he decides to pass the torch to the next Rooney. And as long as he's in charge, I don't trust them to do anything that'll actually even be better. As bad as this is, I don't expect the change to be better because that is where I have the least amount of trust with everything beyond the players, even the coaches. That's my sticking point. Sorry, I'm done.
All right. Andrew Palladino gives us $1.99, says, oh no, boys. I'm sure we're going to hear from him in a little bit. Thank you for the tip though. Permanent Pictures gives us $9.99, says nobody in the organization can veto Tomlin other than Art Rooney II. LeBeau could and Ben could, and they have been gone for years.
Could Colbert back in the day? Do you think he could?
Maybe early on.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and I mean, he's gone too, of course. Yeah.
It says Tomlin is the face of the franchise. Nobody to blame but Tomlin and AR2.
Yeah.
Fair. And I think that, something that SteelDog88 said about the Aaron Rodgers experiment, which I think most would say, not equivocally, but pretty much altogether, that it's not been a success. If you're going to be looking to draft a quarterback, you have to ask, is this the guy you want coaching your team? If you're going to be getting a brand new quarterback that you're hoping to shape into the future. That's something to consider. Let's go to Andrew Palladino again. $9.99 says, why is it that every Steeler opponent records a historic statistic against this team every week, facing teams with half of their offenses, and we still have no answer? This is bad, guys, really bad. And he's referring to the Buffalo Bills setting a record. Let's see if I have that statistic here. The Bills have surpassed 240 rushing yards on Sunday in Week 13, marking the most rushing yards at Pittsburgh by an opposing team since 1975, which Buffalo did it then too, 310 yards. And that was September 28th, 1975. So interesting there.
Hey, so Coach Tom wasn't wrong. It's a historic defense.
Oh, thankfully, he didn't say that. That was Juan Thornhill, who's now he's with Jacksonville, I think. But anyways, Permanent Pictures gives us $4.99. Also, Smith and Austin aren't doing anything Tomlin doesn't want. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, but it's hard for me to say that because I'm not there. I'm not in the building.
I got to tell you, I read that thing wrong because I thought he was talking about Jonnu Smith.
Brian's delirious. Let's go to what's up? Let's go to Nicholas Gabriel. He gives us $5. He said, in my 20 plus years as a fan, this is the most spineless and pathetic performance I've had to watch. I don't know how you guys managed to keep covering this team.
We're going to do it, though.
Yeah, we are, for sure.
It sucks sometimes, but we're going to do it. Is this the low point, Jeff?
No, it's not. There's lower points to reach. Trust me. Steel Dog 88.
Are they in front of us or behind us?
Could be both. I'm more in front, probably. Garrett. Steel Dog Garrett has 19 sacks. I'm about Miles Garrett has 19 sacks. He's worth the money. He's referring to TJ Watt having, I think, 7 on the season and not close to maybe what some would say he's worth in terms of his pay structure. And then let's go lastly to John, Leo, and Bruno. I'm sorry if I butchered that. He said, our entire scheme on offense is catered towards helping a skittish, elderly quarterback with literally one arm. And that was $4.99. Thank you very much, John. We do appreciate it. All right. Here we go. Anything else we want to say before we go into the stats? No, we don't. Let's keep going. What's up?
Here's my thing. The whole point of an NFL season is supposed to be, I keep saying all you got to do. I keep telling myself this, and I'm not saying it's necessarily the Steelers, but someone in the AFC, you just got to be the hot team at the end of the year. You got to be the team that's rolling into the postseason playing well. Why are the Steelers constantly just getting worse week to week? I mean, especially the offense. I mean, this offense started off the season like, wow, they're actually carrying the defense. The defense is struggling. So now the offense is getting worse. The defense then was getting better. And now they're both going in the wrong direction. It's just, I don't understand how you can get to the final third of the season and look like you have it together less than what you had the first week of the season.
That's good points. Let's go. Let's start talking about the offense. Let's look at the box score. Quarterback play. Steelers threw the ball 24 times. 21 of those attempts were Aaron Rodgers. He had 10 completions for 117 yards, averaged 5.6 yards per attempt. No touchdowns, no interceptions, was sacked once for 9 yards for a rating of 65.0. Mason Rudolph came in shortly. He threw it 3 times, was picked off once, and no completions. He had a 0.0 rating.
To his team.
Correct. So a combined quarterback rating of 39.7. If people will say like Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have played, I'm going to stand by what I said after last week. If he wasn't ready last week, what does a week do? The guy had a giant cast on his wrist. That makes 0 sense. The guy couldn't be under center. Again, we're always kind of gearing back to the coaching staff, but guys, what do you think about the quarterbacks? Dave, I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, I'm still going to completely disagree with you with the whole thing about last week versus this week. It was about actually being able to prepare for the game with the pain management close to the injury. That it might not necessarily, you deal with the swelling, you deal with the pain. You could practice more this week, but I'm not going to disagree with what the crap are you doing if you have to do everything out of the pistol and every running play has to start 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Well, it was another thing I put in I know we'll get to that eventually, but it was another thing I put in the knee-jerk reactions. I'm like, wow, Kenneth Gainwell just ran for 8 yards, but 7 of them were behind the line of scrimmage, so he gets a 1 yard gain. But the passing, it was just, you were going up against the number 1 passing defense in the NFL. You could argue why they were the number 1 passing defense in the NFL, but there was a few times, I mean, my goodness, that long pass to Washington down the middle, that was after a shorter pass to Washington, letting him run over people. That was down the middle. Only seeing Mason Rudolph come in and throw 3 passes too early and then 1 there at the end, I think, because did he throw 1 at the end? I think he did. Or maybe he didn't. No. I can't remember. But to see that just goes to show that as bad as Aaron Rodgers was, I had even less confidence in Mason Rudolph. The Steelers just they don't have what they need to at that position right now to compete with the better teams in the AFC.
Brian, thoughts on the quarterbacks?
Just nobody's getting open. They're not getting any protection, but when they do and somebody's open, they're throwing balls in the dirt. They're throwing them away. And Rudolph's overthrowing, and Dave said it earlier, overthrowing a guy that's almost 6'8", for an interception. It feels like they gave up.
Well, again, not to go back to the Rodgers thing, but I will. Dave, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's about his ability to practice, et cetera, et cetera. I never thought he was going to have that cast on his wrist. And so when you saw that, I mean, that did not look like a brace to me. I'm sorry. And then I'm just looking at the TV screen like everyone else is. That looked like a cast on his wrist.
Yeah, because it had the black athletic tape on top of it. So it's
maybe
hard to tell
it
what
was
actually
a brace.
Yeah.
But good Lord, this tells you everything you need to know about Mason Rudolph. That Mike Tomlin said, I'll take Aaron Rodgers not being able to go under center, not being able to do anything with his left hand, like hand the ball off. And I'll take that over Mason Rudolph, who's fully healthy. So that tells you all you need to know about the Steelers quarterback situation. Rodgers was obviously under duress at times. He was only sacked one time, but you could feel that he was feeling it. And then after that third quarter sack where Bosa just clobbered him from behind, and that's a scoop and score, we all know how that played out. It was rough. It was a rough watch. And early in the game, he had some missed throws. I think the quarterback rating for both is pretty appropriate. 39.7, I think is what I said. Yep, 39.7. So let's transition to the Steelers running attack, which, we were talking about going up against the 30th ranked Bills rush defense. We're going to run all over them. Steelers rushed 18 times as a team for 58 total yards, a 3.2 yard average, a touchdown, and a long run of 12 yards. Jalen Warren, 10 carries for 35 yards. He had a touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 for 20. Caleb Johnson, garbage time, 2 for 3. What do we want to talk about this running game? Dave, I'll let you go.
Okay, well, they ran for 58 yards, but they had, like I said, they rushed for over 100. Just the majority of them were behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, and it's frustrating, and it's not just because of the pistol. Yeah, that has a lot to do with it, but it's not just that. Even when the Steelers are under center, it feels like they don't want to give the ball to the running back running forward. Turn and hand the ball to the running back who's plummeting towards the line of scrimmage. How many times have the Steelers even taken a ball, a snap under center, and running it back to the running back, and then they start running forward? It's like, can we please not have a handoff that far back? I mean, I can't think of one where a running back didn't get the ball at least. In this game, at best, it was 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And you don't have to do that. The thing that was so sad is I kept watching Cook take these handoffs where he's getting the ball already up there at the line of scrimmage and flying through it. I mean, so that's extremely frustrating. It just, I don't know. I mean, nothing just seemed right. It just didn't seem like they got any really flow going on offense at all. I mean, my goodness, their longest drive of the game was their, technically, was it their last? I mean, no, because they did get the ball at the end there. I don't have that. They're still updating their stats right now. But, they went 57 yards on 10 plays and turned it over on downs. That was it. Their touchdown drive wasn't even 40 yards. They couldn't run it or get anything going.
Brian, thoughts on the running game?
The running game. I praise Jalen Warren every week. I feel like he does run hard, but he wasn't even getting it done today. Whether he's not getting holes, I don't know what's happening. But even I like what Dave said. Jeff, I'm almost thinking, though, here that the scheme with the running, like Dave said, is so bad, but it's become so predictable. And they have not earned, hey, this is what we're doing we're going to come at you, and even though you know what's going to happen, we're still going to beat you. The Bills did that to the Steelers today. The Steelers could not do it to the Bills, and they had opportunities to do so in this game.
Yeah, I think this was the most disappointing thing, to be honest with you, on the offensive side of the football, was the fact that the Steelers, yes, they were without Broderick Jones, who was put on IR. But man, like, this is a bad run defense. And this is where, like, okay, let's jumbo it up. I said it on my Friday Let's Ride podcast. Let's jumbo it up, run it down their throats. They tried, they couldn't. And they had no change up. And that's the common theme with the Steelers offense. There's nothing, they have nothing else in their repertoire. They can do one thing well, and that's it. They can't hit on that one thing, done. And that's exactly what we saw. So let's now shift over to the pass catchers here. The Steelers, what did they light it up through the air? Let's talk about this. 117 total passing yards, 10 catches on total, 11.7 average, no touchdowns, a long of 26 on 22 targets. Darnell Washington led the team in receiving, 2 catches for 45 yards, 4 targets. DK Metcalf, 32 yards on 3 catches. Kenneth Gainwell, 25 yards on 2 catches. Jalen Warren, he had 9 yards on 2 catches. And then Jonnu Smith, 6 yards on 1 catch. So we always talk about the wide array of people catching passes, only 5 in this game. Dave, what do you think about the pass catchers?
Yeah, and of their 117 yards receiving, 97 of them were yak. So only 20 yards that wasn't yak. But I mean, of course, you get that with Gainwell a lot. He's constantly has more yak yards than actual receiving yards.
Right.
And you had it with Jalen Warren as well. He had 17 yak yards for 9 receiving yards on 2 catches. So that means on average, he's getting the ball 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And then you have to then run 6 yards to have no gain. I feel bad for Roman Wilson. Once again, I felt like there were times he was open. I mean, the one time he was open deep and the ball was overthrown. I know it was a cold, windy day. I assume it was maybe some of it, but it's just, and I mean, Calvin Austin just doesn't seem like he's in rhythm at all with Aaron Rodgers. This game. DK Metcalf was the only wide receiver to have a catch. And really, Darnell Washington should be, if you're going to throw the ball off, just throw it to that dude and let him run people over. I mean, that's fine. I would say it's really bad that they're not using him as much, but look at it. They're not using anybody as much. It's nobody.
Yeah. Brian, thoughts on the pass catchers?
I was going to talk about Roman Wilson. Dave stole my thunder, but he did a very good job at it. That's one of the guys that I'm keeping on this team. But when you said, Jeff, at the beginning that you would scrap a lot of these veterans, yeah, I would too. It's there's a lot of people saying why did that it was a stupid decision and you can't defend it to put Aaron Rodgers in, but Mason Rudolph was just as bad. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would have really come back into that game if Mason wasn't so horrible on that first drive. I honestly think that. A lot of people are yelling for Will Howard. At this point, why the hell not?
Yeah.
But you're still in the chase. That's the problem, and that's what they're going to use and what they're going to say why they're not going to do it. They cannot see the forest through the trees and realize that this is over.
I want to say it was 2023, before Matt Canada was fired midway through the season. I want to say it might have been Tony Romo, but it could have been another announcer who was just ripping the play calling to shreds. And it really did shed a lot of light for a lot of people, because if Tony Romo and Jim Nantz are on the call, that's basically a nationally televised game. If you looked at the distribution map, unless you lived in the Las Vegas / San Diego area or the LA area that has the Chargers, you saw the Steelers and Bills. And so that was today. Same with that 2023 game. And everyone was like, wow, like you can really see it because they're calling it out. Last year, it was Kirk Herbstreit on Thursday Night Football or one of the games. And they were just ripping the quarterback play to shreds with Russell Wilson and how bad it was and the play calling at times and just how god awful it was. And then this game, you heard it with Romo where he kept on saying, there's no one open. No one is open. And I'll say this is for the pass catchers, DK Metcalf has been largely a disappointment this year for me personally. But at the same time, I can say he's in an offense that is built for any receiver to have success. Yeah. And so in that regard, I'm definitely looking at that and saying that it wasn't a good game for the pass catchers at all. Let's finish this up with the offensive line. Again, they didn't run the ball well. They did protect okay, gave up 1 sack. The Bills ended up with 2 quarterback hits. Dave, what did you think about the offensive line in this game?
Actually, I didn't think the offensive line was the issue. I'm not saying that they played great. I did not notice Andrews Pete. That is a really good thing. Did not notice him. The play where Rodgers got killed. Did you guys watch that one? Mason McCormick is on Bosa. I'm pretty sure they ran a stunt. I'd have to go back and look at the beginning of it, but he ends up on Bosa, and he actually takes him through the pocket and wide. And then Bosa gets separation, and McCormick lets him go because he thought him bringing Bosa this way, Rodgers is rolling out to the right. Either the ball's gone or the quarterback's gone. And neither thing happened. And now, would you love to see a guy stick with his block a little bit longer and everything? Sure. But that just goes to show how much that ball was held onto. So if you want to criticize that play, that's one. But, I mean, Zach Frazier rolls a ball back to Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, oh, this is great. I can't believe they overcame that. I really don't. I mean, because that's the same as a sack. That's a huge loss of down. And I can't believe they got a first down on that one and kept moving. That might have been the highlight of the second half for the Steelers, is getting a first down after they were 2nd and 26. Yeah. Honestly. But the offensive line as a whole, now obviously there wasn't a lot going on with the run game, but I still think I'm still putting that more on the running backs not getting the ball anywhere close to the line of scrimmage to get upfield. So obviously the offensive line wasn't getting pushed in the run game. But when you're running those things and you're running stuff like the wide zone, you're not actually trying to push the line down the field. You're actually trying to spread things out and just create a hole for them to cut through and everything. So I'd have to go back and look at it more from the end zone view to actually see what they were doing there. But I'm just saying, out of everything that went wrong for the Steelers, the offensive line would be one place where I would not have them on the losers list. And if you were struggling to find a winner, that is about the only thing I can think of.
All right. Brian, thoughts on the offensive line?
I don't know if I saw what Dave saw. I can honestly say I don't know offensive lines like Dave does. So, but I just felt like nothing was clicking, and I include the offensive line in that mix. Now, I know that you lost Broderick Jones. Andrews Pete, yeah, we didn't hear his name called, and that's a good thing. But I didn't see much that I was really banging the table for them being anything special. I thought everybody played well below their means.
Yeah, this was tough. This was a tough one to gauge because, like, Dave, everything you say is accurate, but I just look at the fact they just couldn't run the ball, and that's schematics, that's coaching, that's all of it.
It's a combination.
It's a combination, yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. For those watching live on any platform, we're not going anywhere. For those listening on the audio side, you're going to hear word from our sponsors. We'll be right back after this break. All right, Steeler fans, second half of the podcast. We have some super chats to get to, and I do want to update everyone on the injury update. I forgot to do this at the top of the show. Rodgers, when he went to the tent for a while, he had a cut on his nose and returned. That was it. Patrick Queen, he has a hip contusion. That's Big boy word for a bruise. And then Pierre has a concussion, is in the NFL's concussion protocol. That's Jimmy Pierre, for those that might not remember. So, all right, let's go to some super chats here. I think we had a joke from Steeler Fan 69. Let's get this out of the way first. Here we go. $10. He said, what do you call a woman that sets her credit card bills on fire? Bernadette. Customer. Does it hurt to get a tattoo? The tattoo artist replies, it depends on the area. The customer, I'm from West Virginia. I'm from West Virginia. Chill out on that Steeler Fan 69. Anyways.
That's probably why you went with West Virginia.
I know. All right, let's go to Thomas JP, 1985, gives us $1.99, says, at least both offense and defense play was equal. That's a very astute observation. I can't disagree with that.
Hey, that gotta find the sunshine somewhere.
Hey. Brad Jewett gives us $9.99, longtime listener of the program. He says, appreciate you guys. Hang in there. We will. Doing the Lord's work. Here we go. Let's go to Kyle. He gives us $5. Says, we see why Mason was not re-signed 2 years ago. What an absolute scrub. Also, once again, Roman Wilson can't buy a good pass. This team sucks. Thank you for the tip. Hard to disagree with what you just said. Let's see here. More from Kyle. Another $5. How long can Tomlin hide behind changing players and staff? We know the real change that needs to be made. Tomlin needs to go. It's time. I do often wonder if he doesn't say at the end of this season, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with it. And it's possible. But we'll get to that when we get
there. You know Rooney's not going to fire him. You know.
Oh, I've always said he has the golden ticket. He has the golden ticket. All right, let's go to Victory Asher. He gives us $9.99. Says, people are asking why we traded Pickens. If he was still in Pittsburgh, he would not have been utilized the way he is in Dallas. Our offense is not advanced like that to properly utilize his skills. You are right. You would see him going berserk on the sidelines at games. Dave, is that what you're going to say?
Well, Steelers fans were right. They're like, Pickens was a head case. He was a problem in the locker room. It's addition by subtraction, everything else. But bottom line is, we are seeing even more now. And now on a day that's about as frustrating as you can get, sometimes you can just say, you know what? I'm just going to take every possible bad scenario and say this is the case. Now you kind of see why he was so frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, look at poor DK Metcalf. I mean, seriously, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 32 yards. And he's Rodgers' guy. And I mean, so you can see why Pickens was so frustrated and everything else. The fact that he's in a situation that he can now actually get tons of numbers, and he still is acting like a knucklehead. Just think of how much more of a knucklehead he would be right here, right now with the Steelers. This offense is not the place for a diva wide receiver right now, because it's not capable of maximizing what the wide receivers can do.
Very well said. All right, let's go to Razor Shade Slayer. Nice name. $4.99 gives us a tip. Said, this sentence marks the beginning of the Tomlin coaching tree discussion. This sentence marks the end. Dick LeBeau and a Hall of Fame quarterback masked a lot. Those are facts. Those are facts. Like,
that's true.
We can't say that it's not factual what he just said. It is.
But trying to have a coaching tree is like trying to say that you have more yards than your opponent. That's not ultimately what wins games. And honestly, I put a lot of that on the people that write the checks to pay coaches, because let's just say this. Maybe if there was freedom to hire who the coaches wanted, there might already have some more of a coaching tree right now. But that's more recently. That's no excuse for 15 years ago.
All right, let's go to Todd Williams. Gives us $4.99. Says, serious question. Do we have elite football people in that building anymore? Do we have elite football people in that building anymore? He asked it twice. So I'm going to answer it once. I do think that Andy Weidel is an elite football mind. I do think that the way that they have tried to start to shift and structure the roster is in a positive way. But I don't know. Brian, what do you think?
Right now, nothing seems to be working. And it all goes back to having the pieces but my gosh, you have great parts that you can go ahead and install, but you're installing them in a car with an engine that is garbage, that you're putting them in a 73 Pinto right now, and they're not firing. Nothing will fire. Nothing will work because they're bringing in good players. I agree with what you said earlier, Jeff Hartman. I don't think DK Metcalf is as bad as everybody says he is with the Steelers, but my gosh, you're square peg, round hole in them. And that's exactly what's happening with this team. They are ignoring young players like Roman Wilson. They are underutilizing Darnell Washington. And Tony Romo was like, you need to be making him a focus of your offense. And yeah, but there's so many things that they just can't do. And I've said some controversial things here, and I got to apologize to Frosty the Bear because I just knocked a 73 Pinto. I apologize.
Last one here so far. Steelhead's 477 gives us $5. Says Tony Romo said Broderick Jones was having a good game. Thoughts on this comment?
Did you guys catch
He
that?
was having a good game.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing because he had a better day than anybody else.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't hear much of the commentating because I was having to do a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, I'll say this. Like after year one, I've never been a fan of Tony Romo. I love Jim Nantz and everything that Jim Nantz does. I love what he does, but Romo is exhausting. He did say some interesting things in terms of calling out the Steelers. I was tempted to just say, I'll just do the announcing myself. We'll just do a live stream and Jeff will just call the game from here at his desk while the TV's over there and everyone watches with me. But it can't be any worse. It cannot be any worse.
You'd need to be actually the Pittsburgh home market and not having to watch it through YouTube TV because you're probably about 3 minutes behind.
Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are watching it at the same speed that I am because they're watching it on streaming services and stuff like that. Okay, let's get to the defense because it sucked up a big one. So let's start with the quarterback, Josh Allen, 15 of 23 for 123 yards. If you just saw that stat, you'd be like, oh, they probably won. He averaged 5.3 yards, touchdown and interception, wasn't sacked though, a 75-point rating. But let's also throw in he rushed for 38 yards and a touchdown. So he had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. What did you think about the quarterback in terms of just controlling Josh Allen? Let's start with that because he's his own beast. Dave, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, controlling Josh Allen. I have to say it didn't go too well after Patrick Queen went out. It's not like he was going great when he was in there, but it got worse. They couldn't bring him down even when they should have had sacks. He's tough to tackle. He's their best player. There's a reason he was the NFL MVP last year. So, but I mean, they didn't get the passing game going too much for the Bills because, my goodness, they didn't have to. Why bother on a windy day? Why even bother? So he didn't completely destroy you running the football, but he did enough and was enough of a threat to make it matter.
Brian, thoughts on that?
This guy, he frustrates me because he is so good, and for some reason I can't stand him. And I don't even know why, because a lot of people say how much they really like the guy. I'm not a big fan of him, but when you put personality aside, I love what he does on the field, and I would take him any day. And he didn't have to pass the ball in this game because, one, the Steelers were so bad. Two, his running game was so good. And three, when he did pass the ball, he was accurate. Then he has that opportunity to go ahead and turn upfield. Sure, he threw an interception early on. I get that. But as far as everything goes, those stats don't look that great. He had an MVP game.
Yeah.
I thought they kept him in check but pretty well in the first half when you think about it. I'll even say this. I think that false start might have been bad for the Steelers. on the Bills where they keep the field goal. Just think if the Steelers stop them there and they get nothing there before halftime. But I mean, Josh Allen, the first half was 6 of 12 for 51 yards, an interception, and a 26.7 rating in the first half. And in the first half, he had 5 rushes for 16 yards. So it was the 3 for 22 in the second half that killed him. So they did all right with him in the first half, but in the second half, he just did his thing.
It's funny. My family's down here watching the game with me, and a couple of my kids are like, "Oh, it's so frustrating." You know, Alex Highsmith close to a sack, TJ Watt close to a sack, and they just couldn't bring him down. And I said, "This is what opposing teams felt like playing Ben Roethlisberger for a really long time." Mm-hmm. And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "He would throw defenders off him. He would elude the pass rush. He was really tough to sack." And I said, "This guy's a really good player." And like someone said in the live chat, if Josh Allen was a Steeler, shoot.
Yeah.
We'd love this guy because he does everything the right way. It's just he's frustrating to play against.
Yeah, and I am not ripping him at all. I mean, somebody said in the live chat that we were ripping him. No, we're not ripping him at all. He didn't have to have a fantastic game. But what he did do was, even when he was struggling, he was able to pull it out in the second half, was majestic. The guy's good. I don't like his personality.
Yeah.
Oh, and remember this. 1 quarterback hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
1.
Who had that, by the way, Dave?
Patrick Queen, which means it was in the first half. And that's not the one when he slid. That doesn't count as a quarterback.
Well, since we're talking about Josh Allen, I want to know this. And if someone saw this on Twitter, because obviously when we're doing the show, I can't check my Twitter feed. I want to know what he did or said to Cam Hayward that got him so angry. Because I haven't seen Cam that out of it in a really long time. And it was Josh Allen. Something happened at the bottom of a pile. I don't know what it was, but man, Cam Hayward was livid and he got out of his game. You could see he was trying to do everything he could to make a play and trying to hit him. Very interesting to see if Cam answers that honestly. So, all right, let's go to the best part of the Steelers defense, and that was the run defense. They did a great job. The Buffalo Bills ran the ball 51 times, folks. Think about that. That's just the number, the amount of carries. 51 times they ran the ball. They rushed for 249 yards and averaged 4.9 yards a carry. They had 1 rushing touchdown, Josh Allen, and a long run of 31 yards. James Cook led the way, 32 carries for 144 yards, 4.5-yard average. Ray Davis, 9 carries for 62 yards, a 6.9-yard average. And Ty Johnson, just for fun, 2 carries for 5. We already talked about Josh Allen's stat line running the football. Even if you take away Josh Allen's rushing yards, they still rushed for over 200 yards on the Steelers. Dave, what was your favorite part about the Steelers' run defense, which is so stout? This really thick sarcasm. If people don't pick up on sarcasm, my apologies.
Number 99, man, he's the man. He stopped everything that came his way. He's been the key to the Steelers' run defense, and for my sarcasm, that tells you that, yeah, without Derek Hartman, they got run all over. How much did the Jets run for in Week 1 without Derek Hartman?
It was
a lot.
It was it over 200?
I'll let you know in just a second.
Okay. All right. I'll let Brian go.
I was
Brian?
thinking like 154, but maybe close to 200.
Right.
No, I think Breece Hall had close to 150.
It was 182.
Okay. Yeah. The run defense, here's the funny thing. I've been saying you got to find a way to get Malik Harrison in there more. But when you did, he was in there more because Patrick Queen was off the field and he wasn't able to do anything either. Yeah, when you say 99, Derek Hartman, he's a guy that could do the dirty work well. And I think you missed that quite a bit with him not being in there against the run. I think that is a huge loss right now for this team.
Yeah, but someone said it in the live chat, and I'll give him credit because it was running through my brain. And I know Dave was being sarcastic when he said what he said, but if the Steelers team, if this it was permanent pictures, I'll put it up here. So if this Steelers team relies on a rookie that much, then yeah, the coaching staff sucks. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing. Like,
what I'm just saying is, if you want to feel better about some stuff, just think, wow, this just goes to show they're, I mean, think about it. The only team that's run for more than 120 yards in the Pittsburgh Steelers when Derek Hartman was in the lineup was the Browns, when the Steelers basically said, we're just going to guard against the pass.
Yeah.
And let that in that first game. Yeah.
I will say that the only time I felt this way watching the Steelers was the last playoff game in the wild round last year in Baltimore. You could just feel that whenever they got the ball in a handoff, they were going to get at least 5 or 6 yards a clip, and they were just running it and running it. The only time the Bills didn't move the ball is on an incomplete pass. I don't know how many times I tweeted out, why would you ever throw the ball? Just run it. They can't stop it. And that last drive, which started, where was that? That started like on the 8-yard line, maybe, when the Steelers failed on 4th and 2 when Kenneth Gainwell lost a yard. And they took over. It was 10-11 left on the clock when that turnover on downs. And they drove it all the way down. It took like 8 minutes off the clock. That's what they should have done every time. I don't understand it, but still, whatever. It's the NFL. This run defense, I don't even know what to say.
Okay, here you go. This is going to the numbers article. Here's a preview because I just figured it out. How many rushes did the Steelers have this game? 18.
Okay, you just told me.
That's the same number of rushing attempts that the Bills had that went for 5 yards or more.
Gosh, darn it.
I'll have to recount. I might have been off by 1 or 2. It might have been more, but I was just looking at the charts and I'm just counting all these little blue dashes and ones that went for more than 5 yards. I mean, did the Bills have 8 drives? Is how many they had? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that I don't think I'm missing any. Yeah, crazy.
Would you dare call this defense the terrible S word? Soft, Brian?
Yes. 100%. I mean,
damning statement.
I love soft pretzels, but that's the only thing. I don't want a soft defense. I don't want soft soap. I want a nice bar. I don't want many things soft. And yeah, they are so soft right now that Stretch Armstrong is probably more rigid than they are.
Dave, you calling on the S word?
Today.
Okay.
I mean, the second half effort today. Yeah. After, once, this is why I say this. That's why I said fragile. I mean, you could call them the S word because of that. This team was so fragile that they knew they were done in those moments. 2 minutes into the third quarter, you had a halftime lead, and 2 minutes into the third quarter, where you've given up 13 points after 2 turnovers, and you were done. And I think I miscounted. I think it was either 19 or 20. So
I'll tell you why they're soft, and it's because of the offensive line they went against. No starting tackles, and they had a banged up center who got hurt in game, but he was still playing through it. And they got abused up front. I was watching the Steelers, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell. They couldn't get past their line. They never once got to that second level where you can really make someone miss. And I'm watching the Bills. They're not getting touched until 5 or 6 yards in the Steelers side of the line of scrimmage. Unbelievable. That when they were talking about some of the historically bad games in this stadium's history, and they brought up the Jacksonville game in 2017. Like, gosh, I remember that game. And then what was the other game that was close? I think it was just bad. This is just really, really bad, though. It's going to be a tough one to come back from. Let's talk about the pass rush for a second. Josh Allen was not sacked. Again, Dave, you mentioned one quarterback hit, which was Patrick Queen, against a really banged up offensive line. What is the solution for the pass rush? Alex Highsmith was back. Nick Herbert was there. TJ Watt got stepped on. He'll be fine. What do you guys think about that? Dave, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to constantly see this. I mean, you do have to admit that the pass rush didn't really get there because they didn't really pass the ball much. And when they did, they ran quick passes, which I understand. There was a couple times they were 3rd and long, and Allen had the time to throw it long enough, like the very first 3rd down conversion of the game, which was frustrating. So you can't say that it was you didn't. It was completely all about that you didn't put them in one-dimensional situations. They had a couple 3rd and longs in there, but they still never got to them. They schemed around it. They knew it was coming, and the stats still continue to hold up. When the Steelers defense gets pressure, the other team's in trouble. When the Steelers defense doesn't get pressure, they're in big time trouble. Was that you that shared that this week? Somebody shared that stat with us. You know what I'm talking about? What are you saying?
I'm reading something in the live chat. Sorry. Brian's laughing too. Mark Malone, get out of here.
On the screen.
Get out of here, Mark Malone. Come on now. Let's keep it at least a high school maturity. I am not at that level. I'm at the middle school maturity. Come on now. I'm sorry, Dave. What were you saying?
I don't remember because I'm trying to find the comment.
It's not that far up. Okay. Oh gosh, this game sucks.
8:49 p.m. Dave.
Anything else defensively you want to talk about? I will say this before I toss around the horn. Anyone else listen to TJ? I know Dave was recording and probably finished up his notes from Tomlin's presser, but TJ went right after Mike Tomlin, and he said, "I've never seen a team in the NFL run the same play so many times and constantly win with that play." If that's isn't one of the most damning statements I have heard from not just a Steelers captain, but a leader and an all-pro player, and that's man, awful. What's up, Dave?
It goes back to your Wednesday behind enemy lines on Let's Ride. The Bills fans are so frustrated because they keep running the same couple plays over and over and over again, and the Bills aren't winning with them. Well, guess what? You ran the same plays over and over and over again because they were working.
Yeah. Brian, anything you want to add?
No. I mean, TJ was so frustrated that I don't think he thinks things could change right now.
Yeah. Right here, 27 Cent City gives us $5. Says highest paid defense with the smallest staff. Make that make sense, Omar. I don't think that's an Omar Khan thing.
No, it's not.
It's not. I don't think Omar Khan. He'll help add to the roster. The coaching staff is the head coach, and then that's the owner who then approves the staff that they're paying and all the contract stuff. I can't say for sure, but I don't think that's a general manager thing. So just wanted to make that clear. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add?
Although it's still stupid, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Anything you guys want to add? Dave, anything on the defensive side we forgot? Special teams, Corliss Waitman continued to not punt the ball well, I thought.
Yeah. Boz is perfect again.
Gosh, that's got to suck.
It's funny because Coach Tom's like, we were highly penalized. They only had 5 penalties, and how many of them were after the play?
Well, they were all personal fouls. They had more. The Steelers were penalized for more yardage and had less penalties than the Bills. Yeah. The way they handled themselves, and I know Brian's talked about this in the past few weeks. They're very undisciplined. Like they're very emotional, and maybe that stems from players like DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey, who are emotional players. But man, you can't get flagged for it. It's just not the way you win.
How are you taunting when you got a touchdown scored on you? I mean, that just doesn't seem like it's the right call, does it?
That's Captain Cam. He went right up into Josh Allen's face.
Yeah, I know, but it's not taunting. You can call it a personal foul, but I mean, you don't. Yeah. You're not taunting someone that they just scored a touchdown on you.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm not saying it shouldn't have been called. I'm just saying
it's idiotic either way.
Yeah, the fact that it's called taunting when you're the yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a good show. Let's do some final thoughts. Brian, I'll let you go first.
So when the game was over, I do what I do every week. I say good night to my family because I'm probably going to be in the office a while. And, especially after a 4:30 game, I'm going downstairs this show is gonna be fun. And I was being very facetious. And it's not because of all of you guys. You guys are frustrated. And I get you. I understand. And there's a lot of things I'm late to the party on. But it's obvious that Mike, who I've adored for years, has lost this team. They might win another game, another 2 games. They might go to the playoffs because the division's so bad. But it's going to be the same rinse and repeat. And it's going to be, well, all right, let's get ready for the draft. At this point, with not much hope for anything to really change. Because you're looking at the players right now, they don't think things are going to change. I think they're making plans for January. And it's not on a football field. I've never really seen a Steelers team give up like this. And they really have. And it's because they don't believe in leadership anymore.
All right, Dave, final thoughts.
All right, I've got 2 main things. So you're just going to have to deal with me ranting about these. Number 1, okay, even though the fans believed that it was, last week's loss was not that bad. I know the fans don't agree with that, but I think the organization, the players, the coaches, everything, it wasn't that bad. That team was down number 1 in the NFC. They were on the road with their backup quarterback, blah, blah, blah. I talked about it on Scobro Show. I'm like, the narrative behind this game is not as bad as what the performance was on the field. Okay. I'm still standing by that. A lot of people can disagree with me, but it's fine. But I'm just saying from a fan perspective, it was. But from a team perspective, it wasn't. And you can say you don't like it, but that's just really what it is. This one was. This one was not just bad. It was very bad. When you hear Coach Tomlin saying awful over and over again in the post-game press conference, you know how bad it was. If this team, if this coaching staff, if anybody associated with the Pittsburgh Steelers that actually can help build the product that's on the field does not respond in a big way for the next game, that everything that we're saying is true, that everything that everyone wants to say about what's going on, about how they've surrendered and they're awful and everything else is spot on. If they've really mailed it in and Coach Tomlin has quote unquote lost the locker room, then guess what? Expect another awful performance next week. Now, we'll see what they actually do. If these players have anything that they want to give left to the organization, if these coaches want to show that they have any kind of capability of being NFL caliber coaches, next week is when you got to bring them, because this was really, really bad. And if you can't rally the troops after this one, then you never will. It's done. It's over. And it might already be, but I mean, that will give you your definitive proof. Number 2, Jeff, before this season started, something that you said about how the Steelers, they needed change. Fans were frustrated they didn't change hardly anything with the coaching staff. And then there was a ton of change. They changed a lot of stuff personnel-wise. They made a lot of changes. And you said, if we don't get any better results, then that tells us what the problem is. I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing any better results.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, okay. If you all want my final thoughts, I'm just going to save all of it for Let's Ride. So you can check out the Let's Ride podcast tomorrow, wherever you get your podcast, by searching Steel Curtain Network. It's not, I'll have my winners and losers segment, which is only part of the show on YouTube, but you got to go. You want to hear the full rant and all those thoughts, you got to go to listen to the first half, wherever you get your podcast. And that's also Dave's Pittsburgh Standard Time podcast, Brian's Here We Go Steelers Show with Coach Kevin Smith, as well as Bad Language. All that stuff is only where you get your podcast, audio only. Again, Steel Curtain Network, wherever you do that. SteelCurtainNetwork.com should be your one-stop shop, and a multiple-day stop for Steelers news, you want to vent, it's free. Go to the top of the page, steelcurtainnetwork.com, create an account. You can comment, be a part of that little powwow of all those fans that are feeling the same exact thing, steelcurtainnetwork.com. But that does it for us. We'll be back next week after Steelers Ravens 1 o'clock kickoff. In the meantime, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.